Hi, everybody. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome to Power of Knowing Forum's Knowledge Nexus Talks, a LinkedIn Live episode number 211 today. We are discussing on a topic of tech, security, leadership, and management in application security, posture management, role in the four pillars of the industry. To have this topic discussed, we have Mr. Rupam Bhattacharya, ASPM, CISO, AppSec, Pentest, crypto, and cybersecurity. Without further ado, let's bring our esteemed speaker onto the podcast event. Hi, Rupamji. Welcome to our podcast, sir.
Hi, hi, Mr. Prem. Very happy to join this podcast and looking forward to a very invigorating discussion. And topic is very close to
Okay.
my heart. Uh, yeah, and I'm really looking forward to share more
Sir,
about this.
a small intro would help us about your journey. What is that you've been doing in AppSec side and how it has been shaping so far, sir?
Yeah, I started a couple of decades back in Bangalore with a company called McAfee, and that's where I got the exposure of cybersecurity. It was right out of college, and McAfee was the right place for me. Uh, there, I took all the learnings and then started like spreading into various other domains through consulting. So I was part of the PwC, PricewaterhouseCoopers security team, mostly handling offensive security and penetration testing at that time. And we delivered projects for large organizations out of US. Then it was by some fortune that people contacted me from Dubai, and then it turned out that there is a company trying to build an entire services division, and that's where I thought that this looks challenging. Myself and to Dubai in the year 2015, and from there started building this practice. COVID came, while I was building this practice, things changed, and we'll
Yeah.
talk about that. And then I moved into another in-house practice where I was CISO for a regulated fintech organization. And from the last year or so, most some in stealth and some now full time, I'm building my own organization. I have developed a product in the application security posture management space, and evangelizing that, talking to customers.
Great, sir. That's a long journey. I think quite some time on Dubai, and it's been a. I was there for some time. It's a great place to stay. I think. With that, sir, I would like to start into
Right,
the
yeah.
topic that we are looking at now. Looking at leadership and management, what is the first thing that changed you to look at cybersecurity at one stage? What is the biggest lesson you have learned in your career to lead this kind of a application security management posture in the industry today, sir?
Yeah, when you stay in this industry for a long time, you will know that adaptability and continuous improvement is a very key principle. Leaders must recognize that change is constant. They should be flexible and open to new ideas. Earlier, we used to do scanning as ad hoc activities. But now, ad hoc activities are not the future, and I'll explain in more detail today. Collaboration, centralization, prioritization is the new future. So this was my biggest learning, because I was during early days of my career working as part of a siloed team doing offensive security, and then when I spread out to learn what a CISO does, I realized that this is a very crazy set of responsibilities. You need a platform which can bring everything together. So this was the biggest learning, and that's how my journey has shaped up to bring this platform into existence.
Sir, as we start our career, where a failure turned, or the failure that made you think which could be a balanced strike between security, innovation, and people first culture in that tech workplace? What is that? Any pointers that you would like to put across on that?
Uh, the You're talking about a failure that that I went through,
So,
or a typical failure that a leader
a
goes through.
typical failure that goes when we strike a balance between security, innovation, and people's culture, right? In the workplace, it is more of tech driven, right? So that's where I'm trying to look at.
Yeah. So a typical failure will be, again, failure to adapt to changes, like the recent changes that are coming in AI and machine learning. Every company is trying to understand how it impacts their processes, their technology, and bring it into their existing process and technology, right? So this is where we need to uh, we need to come into this understanding that change is constant, and adapt to the new developments like AI and ML. It is not
Hmm.
regulated at the moment. However, in small quantities, there should be willingness from leaders to start understanding that, put automations in places where data sensitive data is not getting exposed, and then start learning and start hiring people who are in that domain, who can bring more ideas on how the company can. Founders, they stick to a culture or a philosophy that they started with, but as time passes and the team grows, that has to change with the new enhancements in the industry, and then the company has to adopt and the philosophy has to evolve.
Sir, so as security is enhancing, and as you rightly said, it is on a day-to-day changes that are happening to the security landscape, right? So with AI, you pointed out saying that AI also is bringing a lot of things onto the table where we bring security as an enabler there. Now, how does how is AS application security posture management reshaping security strategies of the organizations today, and what is that one uh, learning that leaders should take, and what is the major mistakes leaders should avoid, sir?
Yeah, ASPM is bringing a risk-based approach. There is already, for fairly matured organization, there is already certain set of policies and procedures and methodologies in place to assess, to understand their assets, to assess the security, and to fix those issues that comes out from their assessments. But as we discussed, right, these are all happening in silos, so efficiency takes a
Hmm.
hit there. And when you use these scanners and tools, they give a kind of risk rating which is not aware of the context of your organization. For a particular asset like your web application or mobile application, in your organization, you are aware of many other parameters that impact the eventual risk that is attached to
Hmm.
that asset. So a risk-based approach is now being driven by a tool like ASPM, where you continuously monitor, continuously assess, and continuously create multi-parameter based or AI ML analyzed risk posture, which helps you prioritize your efforts of remediation. A tool giving 10,000 vulnerabilities and generating a PDF report is the fact of the past. And now, it has to be driven by dashboards. It has to be driven by impact. And one of the major, pitfalls that I see, or major mistakes that I see leaders doing is not integrating with their current environment. They think that this entire ASPM uh, workflow works as a
Hmm.
siloed approach again. They put ASPM, they put maybe an engineer to work on this ASPM platform. But the idea of ASPM is to integrate your existing scanning or remediation methodology. So you integrate your scanners, you integrate your Jira ticketing system or ServiceNow, and that's how you can get reap the benefit of not doing the fragmented approach, removing inefficiencies of your entire risk posture. Yeah, so this is something that we are also bringing more education into the industry, that you don't need to change your approach, but once you put everything together and integrate everything, you can see the beauty of the analysis of the data that comes out.
I think your pointer is very important because nowadays it is online, and the management wants to look at what is the current structure or the posture that is there on the security management, and how is that it is presented to the outer world when compared to what we stand as a security posture. Cyber security posture management is becoming much more important for even a website today, saying that there are vulnerabilities in your website, and how the SSL or any other encryption tools that are used, what is that you are looking at, your how is the flow of your website, what kind of vulnerabilities and stuff is what they are trying to look at when you talk about cyber security. And it is becoming critical because everybody is moving to the cloud, where they want to look at optimization of cost when the systems are not required. How do they bring them, how do they provision immediate infrastructure? So cyber security is becoming prominent, and when we talk about applications, they cater to multiple segments and industries where the data has become crucial, right? So that's where I think application security management posture is playing a very key important role. Can we share a moment in your career where you tried to do something and that failed, and that could be one of the biggest learning, and what would you do differently if you are presented with the same scenario again? So is there a case study that you can share with us, Shubham?
Yeah, yeah, a very interesting incident. Uh, Data breaches are very common in a
Yeah.
CISO's career, but there are some a data breach, which is because of maybe unknown vulnerability, and you are in a regulated environment. That's I would not call it failure, but that is an environment which gives you the most amount of learning, because you have to take quick decision whether you want to you know uh, uh, sh- disclose that issue immediately, or you want to wait for more analysis to come and then take an informed decision. you know so there was similar incident in my career, where I realized my learning because of this. I will put it in quotes, failure was that our way of doing security was too reactive. you know it was periodic assessments and updates, policy based assessment, or security technical assessments. It was in a way very reactive. So if some security incident happens, we do RCA, we do more assessments, we fix things. But what I learned from there is doing this continuously is very important. Continuous monitoring, continuous assessment. So assessing and monitoring should be hands off. A system of automated workflows that should keep doing this, and that's where ASPM kind of platform comes in. Even in cloud that you spoke about, CSPM is continuous monitoring and continuous assessment, and then training the team to understand uh, risks clearly and address them without delay. Sometimes because teams are not aware of the implication of a security issue, they get put back into the roadmap and pushes back, maybe to not right. Few more areas where like it was related to something related to supply chain and third party, right? So supply chain and third party based risk has become very critical nowadays. What we did is, we got a solution which does software bill of materials, which helps us understand, what third party libraries we are using, and is there any vulnerability being introduced proactively. So proactively checking, continuously checking for this third party risk, and finally collaborating within all teams. This DevOps team should collaborate with the security team. The engineering team should collaborate with the security team. What I've seen is in my prior to this incident, my learning was, these teams are working in silos. Collaboration is very important, and also collaborating with the vendor itself, because their security posture should match. Because if you are a regulated entity, their security posture should match your requirements, and that can only prevent the vulnerabilities from coming, because you are continuously using something that they are delivering, which is exactly the issue that we faced. So that's what we learned. And uh, differently nowadays, if I talk to a CISO, I always evangelize doing proactive, continuous, risk based, automated security.
Yeah, so automation is one thing that we are looking at it, and how security can be prioritized and how it is important is what we are talking about. From from uh, from the leadership point, uh, most of the time we'll have to deal with non-technical or leaders that are not one non-technical skill that differentiates a great CEO from a good one. So, for an aspiring leaders, what is one technical skill, non-technical skill that will differentiate a great CEO from a good one?
Right, right. So a very important non-technical skill is, emotional intelligence. You know, are you self-aware? Do you have enough empathy to understand your team? And do you have the social skills that you need to overcome those interpersonal challenges? And are you self motivated enough to, so all these come together as part of your emotional intelligence package. you know I can talk a bit more detail in each one of them, like self awareness. Do you understanding your own strengths and weaknesses, and how emotions come into picture when you have to take a decision, is very important as a leader. And empathy, empathizing or understanding or connecting deeper with your team will help you understand their perspective.
Hmm.
It will also help you build stronger bonds and relationships. And we always try to prioritize work, but end of the day we have to understand that we are working with humans and not with robots. Everywhere there are emotions involved, and building strong connections and building strong relationship is the way that I will say a leader should go. you know, and communicate it well. Create an open communication environment. So if you trust your team, they will come and tell you everything themselves. They will not have a wall, and they will not create confusions or misunderstandings because they are not open with you. Conflict resolution is really sorted if your communication is open. And lastly, you should be self-driven. You should always be passionate about what you are doing. You should have a clear vision of what is your end goal. And this will drive you to be a better
I
leader.
think what you said is very very important because we always think about empathy, but we try to talk when we talk about we forget that we are dealing and building systems for humans only. Machines only are enabling the activities that we are supposed to perform in a much smoother way, and workflow is being built for making better decisions and avoiding burnout. I think that's one thing that has been more spoke out in today's world, where people are overworked, over stressed and stuff like that, right? So that is one thing that
Right.
empathy plays a very very important role, rightly said, Mr. Rupam. What is one security trend that every leader should focus? Because now we're talking about changing
Yeah.
technology very, very quickly, right? Last 5 years, we did not have AI or ChatGPT or these tools coming up and changing, or a disruption in the industry's way of looking at technology. Now, what is one security trend that every tech leader should focus in the next 3 to 5 years to stay ahead or in the race, to be very specifically saying, because things are changing very drastically.
Yeah, and you said it right. Like AI and integration with AI or using AI in cybersecurity is the trend for the next 3 to 5 years. It is at a very
Hmm.
nascent stage because the amount of data that we expose to AI is very less. But as AI engines or machine learning models start getting into smaller and smaller sizes, and you can have, for example, a GPU in your own AWS where the model could churn through data that you own, and you don't have to expose to the public AI, then that's where the innovation will start. Because if AI can then churn through vast amount of data, which for a human will be impossible through his lifetime, and identify patterns and predict potential threats that could occur before they occur. you know so attack path analysis is something that is nowadays getting very 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 common, where AI goes through all your data assets, vulnerabilities, past threats, industry trends, and then gives you exactly that from this asset, because this issue is there, you are more vulnerable, so you should be fixing this first. So it helps you better anticipate and mitigate risks by ensuring and ensure that your security is more resilient. This is where I think cybersecurity is going in the next 3 to 5 years. And you watch every vertical in cybersecurity, there will be some flavor of AI and ML being introduced there.
No, very, very aptly said on that, where we look at the trends changing. Now we are talking about having AI bots coming in, agentic AI. We're talking about integrating incident management with a strong knowledge base, where it learns on the tickets that are faced. It gives you a response on a very quick manner, and it learns by itself also with the new things that are coming up. Now, you spoke about a role of empathy playing in the leadership side. Now, when we talk about leadership again, uh, how does decision making, especially the implementation of security policies that impact teams, how does or what does that role of empathy play here in decision making, implementing security policies that impact the teams? That's what I would like to understand from you.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, bringing in understanding of every team that is involved definitely reduces the friction, and that's where an empathetic leader can get much more done than a leader who sticks to the
Hmm.
rule book. you know Framework driven leadership, or respect the framework but understand the impact. You have to understand how these policies are impacting the team. I can give you an example. Somebody who is sitting in finance, just writing invoices. If he has to do 4 logins before he can write every invoice, that's like half of, or maybe 75% of his day's time. You know, so first of all, we have to understand the impact that the technical policies are bringing to the teams that are responsible to implement it. And then we have to also take care of their well-being by giving them options. right? Not just creating one set, one set, sorry, one fit all kind of policy, but making a flexible policy which gives them trust that we are genuinely concerned about their well-being. We truly are open to communications from their side, taking feedback, and they will only come back with suggestions that can make the policy stay robust but make it flexible to adapt to their work. And then effectively communicating the policy is also very important. The employees or the teams should resonate with the policy in a way that they feel that it is their day to day. They should not have any potential fear or misconception about the policy. You know, they should not see that it is additional task to what they are doing. It should be part of their day-to-day task. Like we have zero trust. Zero trust is a beautiful example of a security policy that or security implementation that engulfs within the task that everybody is doing. So one login, and you can access everything within your environment. So balancing this also touches the point that you have to balance security and usability. You know, you create stringent policies and security measures, but ensure usability is not hampered and without unnecessary hit to the productivity or without creating much frustration. We should give or talk to the team or spend time with the team to ensure we can still put the most stringent or robust policies. And of course focus on the positives all the time. you know I've seen teams struggle with getting value out of something that they have done, because the other team is always focusing on the negatives or always focusing on something that is not done. But as a leader, focus on what is getting done and focus on what else can be done. Instead of in every conversation focusing on what is not done. you know so that's my thought on getting the policies in place properly.
No, as we know, security has always been a kind of a burden or cost center which the organizations think about, right? When you talk about security, they say that's a waste of time, that's not required and stuff. But with the cloud environments coming in, they are also coming up saying that security is first and stuff. Things are changing. But how can leaders foster a culture of security awareness? That is the first point, because you need to, as things are changing, you need to keep them updated with some kind of training, some kind of bulletins, posts, and articles that has to be looked at. Now, how can these leaders foster a culture of security awareness without making them feel compliance is becoming a burden for them, right? So if it you should not have only compliance and you track them to get that finish on a certification or a training course. How do we look at this piece while we
Right.
build a strong resilient culture of security awareness?
Right, right. So compliance is very, very sometimes
Yeah.
seems like jargon to people. Some compliance is very
Mhm.
hard to understand, um, and it is also developed at a very high level. So at a day-to-day level, people struggle to understand how it impacts or how they can contribute. So make it relatable and engaging, so that they can understand through real-world examples and stories. So give examples of recent hacks, give an example of what a compliant environment looks like and how they can benefit from it. You know, gamify the entire security training system. I've recently seen some tools in training that they're bringing,
Mm.
games, and through games you understand how you understand how you can build more secure environments. So put like quizzes, challenges, give rewards on the successes from the team members. So this is so one thing is making it relatable so that they can relate it with their real world or real tasks. and gamify this training. Plus, make sure training is ongoing. It's not a, one day you sit for 24 hours and do all
Mm.
the training, but it should be in a continuous bite-sized pieces with more learning opportunities, like a tip or a short video or an interactive workshop. Change it up, switch it up, and maintain interest, and retain the minds, so that they can come back one day to learn more. If you if we give like 24 hours of training, then firstly they might
Yeah.
not even do, because their work hinders by spending so much time at a go, and it also, they will never come back, they will not remember most of it. So making it uh, bite size is very useful. And let the employees take ownership of security. Security is not owned by
Mm.
CISO. Security is owned by individuals. So we can create security champion in each team, like we create asset owners. We can create security champions, and we can make them part of the entire, security awareness body of the organization. Let them feel empowered, and then they can work with their peers to support them. And once somebody does good, we should reward and recognize them properly. And as a leader, not only the CISO, but all C-level leaders should lead by example. They should uh, follow the security policy, or they should ensure they are most compliant, or they are following the compliance, or they're building or bringing compliance in their day-to-day activity first. You know. And natural, it should be natural part of the day-to-day workflow. I'll give you a quick example. uh, Development and engineering teams, they are focused completely on delivering functionality, because that's the mandate they have
Right.
got from the CTO. We need to push this functionality very quick, because it will give us revenue, and we can build or grow our team. So they are not focused on security. They are focused on pushing that functionality as fast as possible. Now, how a security leader can solve this is by bringing automation. It's also called DevSecOps. You know, if you
Mm.
spend that one-time effort to ensure you have integrated your DevSecOps ecosystem, which also Starks like ASPM is bringing, which ecosystem in your GitHub and Jenkins pipeline, then the engineers can keep working on their functionality, and security does not have to stop them from releasing. They will automatically see that because of the security issue they have been stopped, and they can fix it immediately, and within 5 minutes they are back again to releasing the build. So this is a quick example. It should be a part of your day-to-day natural
You are
activity.
right in saying that, because security is not a single man, as you rightly said, where security should be the responsibility of the entire organization, right? So you will have to look at what you browse, what is that you give, personal information, where is it kept, how is it used, should I browse social media sites in the office, what is to be allowed, what is. So there are a lot of policies that are there in terms of managing official and personal data. That is one important thing. And in India, at least, with the DPDP acts coming in, the act will stringent the pointers of managing data, how it is to be kept. Digital personal data is going to be very, very clear, and it cannot be taken for granted, because fines are very, very huge coming up in the DPDP act that is coming up. With that, what is one thing we've spoken about AI and stuff now? What is one technological shift that's disrupting the industries right now, and how should the business prepare for it? One is AI. What else is your thought in as a
Yeah,
disrupting industries for technology that is coming up?
yeah. Yeah, and AI, of course, we have discussed a couple of times, but I also want to focus on the platform-based centralized
Mm.
approach. E- As a security organization, you need to bring all your data at one place. You know, in the next 3 to 5 years, having reports in silos or running scans in silos or doing process assessment in silos, whether it is governance, whether it is technology, whether it is people or processes. They have to come under one umbrella because for if you think from a CEO's perspective, security is also business. Security is also something that will bring him profits. That's how he's seeing it. Right? From a CISO's perspective, now view. So the posture view becomes very important going forward. And that's another shift that I'm seeing in the industry. Everybody is focusing on not the day to day, but the overall posture and then where I should put my energy into. That also helps in savings, by the way, a lot of savings because you and you do not have to spend time into doing something that is not important for your organization. That might be important from a tool-based scoring system, which is unaware of your organization's nitty-gritties, but then it's not important for your organization, and that's how bringing all the data in a centralized place can bring that intelligence to help you understand which is the most important thing for you.
No, but data-driven decisions that may impact are going to be crucial, is what you're saying, Rupam?
Yeah, of course, obviously, because see, AI and ML, they are
Hmm.
dependent on data. Now, how do they get all the data in one place? The other thing is, bring all the data in one place, integrating everything to ensure all the data comes into one single place where AI and ML can do its magic. It in silos, the approach that was being run in silos is something. So I'll give you an example. Like in engineering teams, you have your
Hmm.
coding team, then you have your testing team, and you have your production team. Coding, then the testing team runs, and in production you are running IAST or bug bounty or pen testing. You know. Now all these are different reports being generated. So in a year, think about a mid-sized organization with 10 applications or 10 servers. They are getting around 250 odd
Hmm.
reports in a year. 250 odd PDF files, 250 odd Excel sheets. Now a team who is working on fixing it, maybe they spend time to review one PDF or one Excel sheet, brings it down to these are my five false positives, these are my five things that I need to fix, and these are my 10 things that I for now, or put it to the next intelligence being put into nowhere because that stays within the Excel sheet. Now another file that comes in for the next scan again needs to to make sense out of it. So that all siloed based approach is thing of the past, and that's another shift that the industry is going through.
Important points there, which we spoke about, right? So, uh, when we talk about personal productivity hacks, right? Something on what would be one thing that we'll have to look at the application security posture management. What's one daily habit that has significantly improved your leadership effectiveness with bringing cybersecurity into it, or application security posture management?
A very fortunate daily habit of reviewing the latest news,
Hmm.
not
Hmm.
only from cybersecurity, but geopolitics, global.
Okay.
That's when we were small, also when we were just in our 10th class, 12th class, our parents used
Hmm.
to say, right, read the newspaper, uh, watch the news, understand what is happening in the world. This is exactly the same culture that, I have, and every leader should try to continue staying updated with the latest security threats and trends. Because once you do start doing that, you have great advantages in your day-to-day activity because you can proactively implement
Hmm.
measures. So once you know that, in my industry, this attack is going on in one of my peers, like Log4j
Yeah.
came in, right? If CISO is aware or is plugged in into Twitter, is plugged in into some of the communities, he's also maybe following some of a podcast like your podcast, right? So they will come to know about Log4j immediately, and they can fix it before it gets exploited in their ecosystem or their environment. Then they are learning. Once they are learning, they can uh, also put that into practice by understanding more attack vector, by understanding more defense strategies, because the CISO has to work from both attack and defense perspective, and also improve their decision making. Where should I focus my policies? Where should I tweak? How should I tweak my policies? Where should I focus my investment? How this incident response team has to be modified to match the latest threats that are going on. If the latest threats are coming in web applications and the network, so this is true, by the way, latest threats are mostly coming in web applications or mobile applications or
Hmm.
APIs. Now, this is where, if the latest threats are coming, your traditional SIM becomes less important, and WAF and ASPM kind of solutions become more important in terms of responding to the threats. You know, so this is the shift that you can do if you are daily learning or daily staying updated with the trends, and you can communicate well as well, because you will encourage your C level to also stay updated, to start sharing these articles with your peers within the company, so that they are also up to date, and it will help you get more buy-in from your management peers and communicate the risks properly to
Yeah,
them.
I think that's a very important point because communication is one thing that we lack at many places where people don't know what to be done, where to look at, what kind of communication is coming when it is, especially looking at security pointers, and what we'll have to look at the leadership telling what is that security threats that are there, what is that enhancements that the industry, what are the vulnerabilities that has to be kept communicated to all the teams. And how can with the leaders coming in uh, from security background to the board to the tech floor and staff, how can C-suite executives and tech teams collaborate better to make security a business priority, not just an IT issue? Because security is always considered as an IT issue, right? So
Right,
how do we
right.
look at that?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It like, continuing with what I said in my previous answer, the C-suite should be also involved in education or awareness of the day-to-day
Hmm.
security trend. Plus, for a security leader, it is important to align the security goals with the business goal. So, if the business goal is, for example, RBI compliance, then of course the board, the CEO, the investors, they will all be aligned into getting all the resources in place to get the RBI compliance or the ISO
Hmm.
compliance done, ISO standard done. Now, again, that might not be case for many organizations, but if it is just about making your, if the business goal is making sure your customers do not hear about any security breach, you know that is your ground to align security with the business goal. So you have to communicate that with your management and board, that this is, if you, do you think this is your business goal, your customers should not face any security risk or security breaches, then for that this is what we need, and we do not have to go overkill there. So we have to define what we need based on what is the company's business goal. Also, again, this entire communication should be very open, transparent, and you should not hide, or you should be, you should not think that the team will not understand. Doing it in a more business friendly language is recommended, but you should communicate everything openly and educate and raise awareness.
Hmm.
If you think that your communication is not being understood properly, give real life example, explain security in terms of business. Try to put numbers into it. Try to impact into reputation, revenue, operations, and promote a culture overall. Culture, CEO is bringing a culture to the company, so with that, like have a one-to-one meeting with CEO and create a security culture that is aligned with your CEO's company culture, and try to bring that into a day-to-day practice. And make sure you do not take an entire responsibility or accountability. Make sure board you have board members who also are willing to take accountability of what is going to happen in security, and they should have clear we should have clear roles and responsibilities defined within the entire CISO. CFO has the responsibility of providing budget for the security goals that the entire board and CISO defines. That is the accountability of the finance, right? And investment into security must be driven, through the board, based on once you have that discussion, you go back and then you hear something else. This is where accountability and lack of communication and miscommunication can come into picture. So collaborate more with your peers. Make sure you are transparent in your communication, and make sure you have defined the roles and responsibilities within the team so that they can help you achieve your own goals, and also you can help them achieve their goals.
Very rightly said. It is more of collaboration that we have to look at and look at. See, I think you are putting us into a direction where we are talking about uh, where CISO drives the business priority and the team collaborate to bring the business priority aligned for the business vision to make security a priority. That's what I think you're bringing up in this topic. And coming back to pointers where you find a lot of complexity that is there when we talk about cybersecurity or security posture management. Is there a strategy or one simple strategy that leaders can make use to make work easier for their teams? Because making work simpler makes things easier for the teams to quickly work on it, right? So, your take on it.
Yeah. So if you are, like, it depends on your environment, but if you are working in a company that's, for example, a legacy company doing digital transformation, coming into automated approach of doing things, then it's very important to standardize and streamline those processes in a way that it is not complicated. It should We should analyze all the workflows and make sure any manual effort that is needed is overly scrutinized for how we can automate it, how we can make it streamlined in a way that nobody has to intervene within this. That is a key component of removing complexity, because most of the complexities either arise from dependencies or from a legacy way of doing things. you know so you have to remove dependencies, make sure you have backup of backup also, and then you remove the uh, complexities that are being inherited because of the things that were done in the past and are no longer needed to do. And also in AI, it is helping in making decision making also autonomous. So
Hmm.
you have to trust your teams, your peers, to make sure they can do uh, assign accountability as well, but make sure you enable them to take decisions on their own. you know and eventually also trust AI which is within your ecosystem, and also enable AI to make decisions so that your workflows are even more simplified. And plus prioritize and focus on things that truly matter. Clear goals and clear objectives will remove any distractions that are there in the processes. you know so start from the goal and come back to what needs to be. Ratan Tata once said, and that I take decisions first and then
Okay.
make it right. I don't always take the right
Yeah,
decision.
I think
So
what you're saying
this is
is
the way that I
you should take an action and see what is to be looked at priority, and then based on the outcome or the this one you can change the plan. Is that what you are saying?
Yeah,
Like,
and leverage as
hmm,
much technology
okay.
as possible, and make sure it is iterative. You review it continuously and make it simpler and simpler and simpler as you go along. With more technology, with more AI, with more automation, you will make it as simple as just maybe making it fully autonomous.
Coming to another point that I want to understand for your views on to me, because the current disruptive uh, trends or the applications that are coming with this in, we are seeing an increasing cyber threats, right? And is there something that what we can talk about is what is the biggest blind spot companies will have with this kind of increasing adoption of new technologies, new tool sets, AI coming in, and how do we address these kind of blind spots? Any thoughts around it, Rupam?
Yeah, I think I touched on this already, but I'll just quickly revise it. I think biggest blind spot, because of the interconnected world that we live in, will be the supply chain
Hmm.
based attack.
Hmm.
uh, we or most organizations do not think twice before adding libraries, or adapting code from nowadays. If you see, even AI is
Hmm.
writing code, but that's also written by somebody else, which AI is copying and giving it to you. So we have built trust into third party, which is becoming more and more inherent and less and less, you know uh, uh, less and less interviewable, or less and less uh, accessible. So we need to start building these processes to assess supply chain. Make sure you have a secure CI/CD pipeline where you have things like code scanning, dependency analysis. You have runtime protection. You have third-party library checks, software bill of material, and you have continuous monitoring based on the software versions, artifact registry, build servers, etc. You need to continuously monitor how what new code is coming in through these third parties, and whether that has any security vulnerabilities, and implement secret scanning and ASPM kind of from your own side, or if there is any key or secret leaked from your code or your third party code, that doesn't get leaked into the production. And maintain a collaborative environment, again coming back to the point where we need to collaborate with vendors, not only internally, and make sure we align, or they align with our security beliefs and we align with them, and so for prevent the supply chain attacks. I always take the example of solar winds, where all over, and also I will say
Hmm.
CrowdStrike that happened recently. That's another example. So, um, and companies are losing 10, 15, 20, 30% of their stock value because of these events or incidents nowadays. So, trusting too much on your solution and not reviewing them continuously, I think it's a big pitfall that companies might face in the future. So, yeah, I will recommend being more diligent there.
Okay. With one last pointer that I would like to look at, we've been talking about work life balance and stuff like that, right? So is there something that you would suggest, or what is your personal strategy where we uh, talk about preventing burnout for leaders handling high pressure roles? Any pointers that you would like to look at? Because
Yeah,
cybersecurity is evolving and we see a lot of work that has to go while we implement or support it. Your take on it?
yeah. Yeah, this is a great segue after the very, 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 or high level discussion or complicated discussion
Yeah.
that we did. So simple in my in my way of doing things, it is very simple, because you have to yourself when you are outside work. Sleep well, eat healthy, try to exercise
Hmm.
regularly. If you are not like outside exercise, like to run or go to gym, you can do meditation, you can do yoga, you can follow one single sport,
Okay.
you know, and be healthy on a regular basis. Again, set boundaries, there is work and then there is life. I will say, and most of the industry leaders will agree, because work is everywhere nowadays. From work from after the work from home culture, after COVID, work is everywhere. So set boundaries, that this is my work time, this is my personal time, and also communicate these boundaries to your, peers or your team, so that they can also follow the similar kind of self care. And leaders are afraid, most of them, but leaders are afraid to delegate,
Hmm.
because they think, what if, the work doesn't get done properly. But
Yeah.
delegation is a very not delegating is the biggest reason for burnout. You need to trust your team, because maybe once or twice or thrice it might not be up to your standard, but that is the only way that you can inculcate your culture, by working with your team, by teaching them, or by empowering them to learn more, because they are also growing as they are working with you. And sometimes I've seen these, uh, leaders that they just keep it to themselves. They do not talk to others. They think that my problems are very, trivial, or they will it will be trivialized. But you need to you need to join some communities, you need to join some clubs, you need to join a peer group, where you get mentors, coach, talk about your challenges, talk about uh, how they would have overcome, and share ideas on how these challenges could be overcome. And overall, focus on the positive, practice the idea of, gratitude, right? So focus on the positives, and then everything will fall in place.
Great, sir. I am done with the pointers that I wanted to discuss with you and take your opinions. I just wanted to summarize what we've discussed so far. We spoke about, at the start of the session, we spoke about leadership and management in tech. Then we spoke about the role of application security posture management. And we spoke about human centric, this one, some of the lessons learned we discussed. What was the CEO mindset, and leaders who are non-technical look at different skills that need for aspiring leaders. We spoke about future of cybersecurity and tech leadership, and we spoke about little bit on empathy, decision making, building a culture of resilience, and we spoke about disruptions and business impact, and personal productivity hacks, where what habit can be looked at to improve the leadership effectiveness, and what happens from security from a boardroom to a tech floor, where how C-suite leaders talk about and collaborate with the teams for better communication and business goal orientation, right? So what are the simple ways that you can look at managing team, making work easy for them and making it simple? Any pointers that we spoke about on cybersecurity risks and blind spots where companies have to look at and engage with? And lastly, we spoke about work-life balance and high performers where leadership are under pressure on a constant piece, and how cybersecurity is evolving. So these are the pointers that I had taken a note on, and that's the topic that we discussed today, Rupam. And it's been a great session. Any last pointers
Thank
that
you.
you would like to say before we conclude the session, Rupam?
Uh, no, thank you, Prem, for inviting me. It was really a very exhilarating discussion, and I was glad that I could got to share my thoughts on this. And of course, if anybody has any questions, my LinkedIn profile and my
Yeah.
handles are there in the post, so they can feel free to reach out to me, and I would love to
Yeah, thank
address
you for
that
that.
question.
I've brought the LinkedIn profile and about Rupam onto the scroll here, where you can look at what Rupam does and what is his expertise. And I also put his link on the scroll so that you can connect with him and talk or get your pointers clarified. I think with this, I think we are on top of the hour, and we would like to conclude the session. And we would say that this podcast is being streamed from LinkedIn to YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram. We hope this discussion you found it valuable. Thank you for joining us, and we have another episode coming up tomorrow, which is on our episode on startup right or burst. What will you choose? Our 212th episode that is coming up tomorrow. Looking forward to see you at 6:30 p.m. IST tomorrow. Good day and bye. Bye, Rupam. Thank you for being here, and it's an honor to have you here, sir.
It was a pleasure
Thank
to
you.
join. Thank you.